Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you live from Budapest, capital city of Hungary here in Central Europe. Thank you everyone for attending. My apologies for the missed class yesterday. We had some technical issues with one of our computers running these live sessions, but that's all fixed now. So here we are. September the 15th, we are in course session number 16. Today, we're looking at IELTS Task 2 Writing. Basically the same or very, very similar between general and academic IELTS. So today's lesson will apply to both. Hi, everyone who's joining right now. Hi, Amia AS. Hi, Rajesh Kumar. Om Shah. Rajesh Kumar again. Hi, Nel Naman. Hi, Amandeep Kaur. I hope you're doing great. Again, as usual, our materials come from our websites. These live session 16 and all the other ones are adapted from our online course that you can find when you join at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. You can download our app from your Google Play Store for academic IELTS help. Search for that. Hi, Robin Mahathir from Bangladesh. On our websites, we have a fully interactive course, 6 original practice exams. They're the same difficulty, exactly the same style as the official IELTS. We have over 100 hours of video lessons. If you have questions, comments, concerns, or you're sending your homework, please send it to my email, adrian@aehelp.com. We have writing, editing help on our websites, and you can book practice speaking IELTS interviews. Those are, of course, paid services. All right. Hi, Ahmed. Thank you for returning that. Hello. So we have a course session 16 today. Because of our missed class yesterday, we're going to skip that second members chat only class, and we're doing another online course session 17 class tomorrow. Then we have a couple days off, Monday, Tuesday, no class, and then we're back on the 19th. Today, we're dealing with this task 2 question. Please read with me. Write about the following topic. Some people feel that physical education should not be a mandatory part of public school classes. Others disagree. Discuss both of these views and give your opinion using explanations and examples from your own experience. So here, notice that we have to discuss both of these views, okay? And then for task completion, you have to write at least 250 words, and you should spend at least 40 minutes on this task. Now, we talked about this question a couple days ago, and this is a very important graphic that I want to come back to here, okay? So this is going to be our start point for today's class. So this is the structure of a task 2 essay, and it's also the structure of most essays that you will write in your university or college classes as well. Now, let's see how many of you are paying attention last class. What kind of essay is task 2? And it's usually the same in academic and general. Apricia, we just looked at the introduction, but we're going to look at the body paragraphs and the conclusion, okay? Rahul, Amia, Pachu, good for you for paying attention. Jeffrey, for those previous classes, this is a persuasive essay, okay? Amia, argumentative essay is one kind of persuasive essay, okay? So persuasive essay is a higher level category. Argumentative essay is one type of persuasive essay. There are other types of persuasive essays as well. Persuasive essays seek to convince, seek to argue certain points, okay? So argumentative essay goes within the category of persuasive essay. All right, good for you. And what's the voice of the author? So what is the voice of the author that's used in this task 2 essay? That's the other really important point to remember when you're writing this essay. Jeffrey, Pachu, Rahul, Amia say, hey, it's a first-person essay. Absolutely. And there's three voices. There's first person, there's second person, there's third person essays, okay? And again, within those three categories, there's subcategories, so there's different kinds, but you need to be familiar with the three major categories of first person, second person, third person voice. Task 2 essay is first person voice. Almost always you will see the question ask you, support your argument with your own knowledge and experience. So it's asking for your opinion, your knowledge, your experience. So it's clear from the question that it's a first person voice essay. Now, remember this, Shanu, very good. Amarwadi, Rajesh, Kishan, Shanu. Remember this. You never want to mix voices, okay? It's very confusing when people mix the voices of the author in an essay. So if you have a thesis that says, in my opinion, physical education is very important for students, and then in the body paragraph, you write something like, you need to do physical education to be healthy. That's very confusing because you're switching from first person, talking about my opinion, I believe, to second person voice, which is talking directly to your writer, saying, you should do this, you need to do that, you need to believe me. So don't switch voices in the same essay. That's considered bad writing. You shouldn't do it. It should be avoided at all cost. You will get negative points for that, okay? Because it's simply bad writing. All right, so persuasive essay, first person voice. A couple days ago, we looked at the introduction. The introductory paragraph has the hook, the background, the thesis. That's how you make a strong introduction. It goes from a general idea down to a specific idea. That's why you have this funnel shape or this inverted triangle shape to show that you're moving from general ideas into a specific argument which is given by your thesis statement. Okay? Then we have a couple of body paragraphs and a conclusion. Okay? So here we have just a little bit of review from 2 days ago. So here is the introductory paragraph for this essay, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, you should still see this essay in the stream description, or the question, sorry. All right, so let's have a look at this introduction. Here's the hook. The hook is a general statement that catches the attention of the reader and has you focused on the subject and what you will write. So even with mandatory means you have to do it. Even with mandatory physical education in North America, many young American children are seriously overweight. Physical education is the subject of this question, it's the topic, and it's included in the hook. Then the background. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, when you're writing your task 2 essay, you don't need to write the word hook or background, and you don't need to separate these. This is one paragraph, okay? So the background is, for several decades, physical education, or PE class, has been a regular 5-hour per week part of school programs in many countries. It involves physical movement of students from grades 1 to 12 through different types of sports. Some people have argued that PE classes take away valuable time from academic studies, while others have felt that it is a necessary part of childhood education. That's the background. It explains to the reader what I'm discussing, why it's important, and gives a definition or a measurement of what I'm talking about. I'm using quantitative language. Quantitative language means numbers, something that I can measure. Again, this is just review from 2 days ago. So here we have 5 hours per week doing sports and so on. And then here you have potentially the most important sentence in your whole essay, the thesis. The thesis is basically your idea, your argument, it's your position, okay? So although some time is lost from academic learning, I believe that the benefits of teaching health, cooperation, and competition to young learners are more beneficial. Now here I have to talk about both views. So likely the first paragraph will be talking about the time lost from academic learning, and the second body paragraph will talk about the importance of PE class for health, cooperation, and competition. Okay, again, just a review from a couple days ago. This is the introduction. This is what it should look like, okay? This is what a good intro needs to look like. Okay, that's right, Ellie. Thank you for explaining that further in the chat and emphasizing that the thesis is the main idea that is developed in the body paragraphs with the arguments. Absolutely. Not would be, is. Absolutely. Affirmative language. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So this is a little bit of a breakdown of the structure of a body paragraph, okay? And this is true not just for IELTS, ladies and gentlemen. It's also true for your university essays. Your body paragraphs may become more complex, but they include the same ideas. Here's something interesting for you to do when you have a few minutes and you're studying IELTS. Look at the reading passages in IELTS, and you will notice that the structure of the reading passage is very, very similar, if not the same, to what I'm showing you here for task 2. Okay? When you're writing a task 2 in IELTS, you're basically writing a miniature reading passage from the IELTS, okay? A reading passage in the IELTS is 600 to 700 words. It has it has about 6 body paragraphs, 8 paragraphs altogether. Your task 2 is basically a 1/3 version of that. So it's about a 250 word 4-paragraph essay, okay? But you'll see that the structure in reading passages is very similar to this. So the body paragraphs have 3 important elements, all right? The 3 important elements is the topic sentence. The topic sentence of the body paragraph gives the topic and the controlling idea of the first point of your thesis, okay? So when you have a thesis point that talks about the negative of having physical education classes in schools, you introduce that topic and that controlling idea. And right away, right after, you need a good explanation. Now, explanation, that's where you want to focus on quantitative language and qualitative language. So using numbers, using good descriptive language, using sensory language that uses words which pertain to vision or hearing or smell or touch. And then, of course, when you have a good explanation, remember your reader is an alien. They don't know what you know, but they're smart. Then you back it up with an example. So for that explanation, you give a good specific example. Now, a fourth component can be this connecting sentence, okay? It's a transition. So something that helps you to move to the next body paragraph can be also called a concluding sentence. Not a conclusion, but a concluding sentence. So let's follow with our example and let's see how we do, okay? PEG means physical education. So that means exercise, playing sports, okay? So teaching people about body movement. Thank you for helping me out there, Preeti, with that question. All right. So connecting sentences are the last sentence of a paragraph. You really only need one of these. It's not too important to get a good score. You can use it, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have an amazing connecting sentence. The information should always connect the paragraphs together anyway, okay? A lot of students think that the way you connect paragraphs is by using therefore, however, first, next, after that, but importantly, pay attention to D here. It's the information that joins ideas between paragraphs. If you have very good information and good information flow, then even if you don't have a lot of words like therefore, next, after that, it's still joined very well by the information that it contains, okay? So information joins ideas and paragraphs together first and foremost, and then words, okay? Keep that in mind. If you have bad information, let me just say this one more time because it's really important, and I see this in many essays. If you have bad information, even if you use first, next, after that, then, or however, therefore, it's still going to be a weak essay. Okay, these words cannot join information if the information is incongruent, so it doesn't make sense together. Okay, so here is an example of a body paragraph using our task 2 question. So our first body paragraph, because here the question is asking to discuss both views, so discuss that physical education should not be in public schools, and then discuss that physical education should be in public schools. If my thesis says that, okay, it shouldn't be in public schools for some reasons, but I believe that it's more important to have it in public schools, then my first body paragraph will talk about why it's negative, so why it's bad to have in public schools. And my second body paragraph, the one that I believe in, the idea that I believe in, should be found there, should be in the second body paragraph, so that I leave the reader with my ideas or with my belief, okay? So here's an example breaking it down. Again, remember, in the official IELTS, this is just one body paragraph. Here I just split it apart so you can see the different elements. Okay, so here's the first topic sentence for body paragraph 1. Physical education involves around 1 hour of class 5 times a week, which could be used for other academic classes. Okay, so notice I have my topic, physical education, and then I have my controlling idea, time that could be used for other academic classes. So for the reader now, it's very clear that this body paragraph will talk about the negative of PE class in schools, and it's very, very clear for them from the topic and the controlling idea of the topic sentence. Okay, and I'm taking this from the first point of my thesis. I hope that makes sense for everybody. If that did not make sense for someone, please let me know, or you can send me an email on it as well. Okay. Preeti, no, I don't suggest writing positive points in both body paragraphs here, because the question asks you to discuss both views. So it's better to discuss one view in one paragraph, the first one, the one that you support less, and then in the second body paragraph, write about the point that you support more, okay? So, yes, Aprecia, you should write a hook in the real IELTS, because I explained it 2 classes ago. It's not just for the IELTS people that you're writing your hook, but also for yourself. It's a point of reference, making sure that you target the right topic and subject in the question, all right? So there's great value to writing a hook in the IELTS, even if it's not mandatory, all right? Especially if you're going for band 8 or 9 or above 7. All right, so getting back to target here. So here's the topic sentence. Now I need to explain this, okay? So here, the intelligent alien reader, remember that little green alien? The intelligent alien reader will say, what are you talking about? So Adrian, what are you talking about? Why are you telling me that physical education takes time from other academic classes? Explain that to me. So here's my explanation. During this 1 hour that students are in physical education, so during this 1 hour, students could focus on math, biology, and other important skills of book knowledge. Okay, so there's a very quick, simple explanation of what students could do with that 1 hour of time. And I'm targeting subjects like math and biology. Okay, so it's visual. The person can see students sitting in a math class or in a biology class. And then here's a specific example, okay? In examples, you can start by saying, for example. So for example, a high school student may use this 1 hour to read a chapter about the circulatory system instead of participating in a soccer training session. So notice again that the information is becoming more specific. So I give an example for this. A lot of times students confuse the explanation with the example. A lot of times students think that this is an example. So they'll say, for example, in this 1 hour, students could focus on math and biology. That's not an example. That's still just an explanation. This is a specific example where we imagine a student sitting in a biology class for 60 minutes reading a chapter about the circulatory system. If you don't know the word circulatory system, you can do something different, okay? All right, so that is a good example of this explanation, and then here's a connection to my second body paragraph, okay? So here I can say, however, the physical exercise that the student might miss is likely more beneficial for both his body and mind. Okay? So here my connection is actually referring back or using the example. And this is the idea of cohesion, so having a very cohesive style writing. Notice that the information is strongly joining each of these sentences. So, however, the physical exercise that the student misses, this student, is likely more beneficial for his body and mind. All right, so I've concluded this and I'm opening it up for the next body paragraph. All right? So let's keep going. Any questions about this, girls and guys? So anything that's not clear so far? Am I going too fast, too slow? Is it easy to see the sentences? Do you need me to explain anything further? Lokesh, your body paragraphs absolutely have to be in a logical and organized order. Very, very important. Otherwise, your essay will become incomprehensible, which means your reader can't understand what you're trying to say, or they're working very, very hard to understand what you're trying to say. Shanu, if one cannot generate a good example, then what happens? Your mark goes down. I mean, there's no nice way of saying that. You need to generate a good example, and you should be able to. These IELTS Task 2 questions are not so complicated that you can't think of a good example from the real world, okay? Om Shak, the hook in the background, that was just a review in this class. If you want more detail about it, please have a look at the previous video, the class from 2 days ago, all right? Vikrant, that's a good question. There's a very, very good blog on our website for vocabulary learning. So check out the website, either the free or the paid version. Go to the blogs. You'll find that in your My Student account, and there's a really good vocabulary blog with about 500 words that you should know for IELTS, okay? Aprecia, yeah, I'll definitely be doing some grammar lessons in the future as well once we've finished moving through our course sessions. So in about a week and a half time, 2 weeks time maybe. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Some good questions there, ladies and gents. Here is body paragraph 2. You can see it now here in one full picture, okay? This follows the same structure as body paragraph 1. So you have your topic sentence, you have your explanation, and then your example. Okay, so you follow the same. So PE class can positively influence the well-being and social skills of students in a regular routine. All right, that's the topic sentence. Again, PE class can positively influence the well-being and social skills of the students in a regular routine. Students participate in individual and team sports to perform muscular and cardiovascular exercises. Through sports such as tennis and basketball, they gain a better understanding of competing against each other, as well as cooperating to achieve a common goal. A secondary student, for example, can increase their metabolism and learn how to effectively work as a team in a game of basketball. Both the physical and social skills become a valuable part of their later development. And here, notice that when I was reading, I took out the word will, okay? In my opinion, that's a mistake. You shouldn't jump to the future participle. It's a general opinion, so don't use the word will, all right? So again, here you can see the topic sentence, a very clear explanation of those ideas, and then an example of a secondary student who is increasing their metabolism and learning to play effectively in a team through a game of basketball, all right? You could refer in your example back to the same student. So you could say the same student who would be sitting in a math class, for example, can instead play a game of basketball, thereby learning teamwork and increasing their metabolic activity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if some of this vocabulary is a little bit difficult and you're saying, well, Adrian, come on now, I don't know the word metabolism, so how can I write such a paragraph? Or I don't know the word cardiovascular, so why do you expect me to write such a paragraph? I don't, okay? I don't expect you to know the word cardiovascular, and I don't expect you to know the word metabolism. Metabolism is your use of energy, okay? It's your use of food and water, oxygen. It's your use of energy in your body. Cardiovascular, cardio is your heart. Vascular is your veins and your arteries. Your cardiovascular system is your heart and your arterial vein system, okay? So I don't expect you to know that, and you don't have to use that. You can use something more simple, okay? You could say something like, students participate in individual or solo or alone and team sports to do instead of perform, to do activities and increase muscle movement or moving their body, okay? You can simplify it. So you can use more simple language to express very similar ideas. What's more important is that you have the right information and you have the right structure, okay? You can still get a very, very good mark or band score on IELTS with simple vocabulary if you have good information and good sentences, okay? If you use some nice high-level vocabulary, but your sentences are awkward, they're full of grammar and spelling mistakes, and the information is incoherent, it's not cohesive, you'll still get a low mark. Just because you're using high vocabulary does not make for good writing or communication. Keep that in mind, okay? Too many times I see students trying to use very high-level vocabulary and trying to write some really long sentences, and they end up with a whole bunch of jarble that I can hardly understand, and that gets you a low band score, okay? So that's body paragraph 2. Now, let's talk about the conclusion, okay? So the concluding paragraph. With the concluding paragraph, you have a little bit of an enlargement of that previous graphic or component of it, where you see this is now a triangle instead of a funnel, so it's the opposite of the introduction. And that's because here, this little point is something specific. Okay, so your conclusion moves from specific ideas that you discussed in your body paragraphs back out to these general worldly views. Okay, so you have 3 points here: compress, argument, and implication. Or another way to say this is paraphrase the body paragraph points, emphasize your argument or your position, and implication means, why is this information useful? What did we learn from reading your essay? So another way that I say this is a take-home message. Okay, it's the message that your reader can take away with them, that they can use in their life. And that's right, Naveen. They find it useful. So they say, hey, that was a good piece of information. I find that useful. I can use that in my life. Just give me one moment while I get you back on screen here. So those are the 3 parts of the conclusion, and a good conclusion should have all three parts. Sometimes what I see IELTS students doing is they write a very, very simple conclusion. It's just one sentence, and I don't think that's good enough. All right? So again, compress, paraphrase information from your key points and examples. Write them in a condensed, strong statement. Argument, restate your argument with strong, convincing words like have to, must. You'll see in our case, therefore, public schools must continue to have mandatory physical education classes. And then the implication. So why is that? One of the big mistakes in the implication is students create new information or new argument. Don't do that. So make sure you don't add a new argument or a new idea at the very end of your conclusion that's confusing to your reader because it's not explained in your essay. So make sure not to do that. Okay, so here, continuing with our task 2 sample is a good concluding paragraph. Okay, and a concluding paragraph is about 3 sentences, so 1 sentence for each. So here's our compression of the body paragraphs. Although the minutes spent in a physical education class could be used for learning subjects like math, the increased cardiovascular health and social skills are much more valuable benefits for the future. I'd probably add an S in there because we name a couple. So valuable benefits for the future. Okay, so I just basically took the topic, the explanation of body paragraph 1 and 2 and just pressed it into 1 sentence here. It is a complex sentence. Notice that I'm opening up with a although. That means that this is a dependent clause. That's why I have a comma here, because this is the dependent clause of the sentence. And then here I have the independent clause to make this a nice complex sentence, okay? Again, as I mentioned, one of the students asked, I will do grammar classes and punctuation classes. I haven't forgotten about that, how to use commas, semicolons, and so on in a couple weeks, okay? All right, and then the argument. So therefore, so what's my argument, right? And I said that in the thesis. In the thesis, I said, I believe that PE classes should be in schools. So therefore, in my opinion, the advantages of PE classes in the regular school curriculum are absolutely necessary and outweigh the disadvantages. So here, notice that the argument is very strong, absolutely necessary. All right, I'm using a very strong set of words there to tell my reader that, hey, look, you just read my essay, you read my introduction, you know my thesis, you read my body 1, I gave you an explanation, an example, you read my body 2, I gave you an explanation, example there. I think I have some pretty good points of argument. My essay is persuasive, first person. I'm coming at you from my belief system, from what I've experienced. Now, you need to believe me, okay? And I'm not going to be gentle on you. I'm telling you, you should believe me that we absolutely need these classes in these schools, okay? So, in your conclusion, that's the time to give a strong argument for your position. And then here we have our purpose. Purpose is another way to say implication or my take-home message, right? Naveen, very nice vocabulary, indispensable. So we cannot do without, right? PE classes are indispensable in the regular school curriculum. That's great vocabulary there, okay? All right, and then here's the purpose. So take-home message, especially with the increasing problem of poor diet and obesity of children, mandatory physical education is a critical part of building a better future. Now, here, I'm walking a very thin line, so it's a little bit dangerous because my essay doesn't really talk too much about obesity of children and poor diet, especially. I'd want to be careful about. I might want to take that out. However, my hook did say that there are a lot of overweight children in North America. So I did mention that in my hook, so it's not a complete new idea to the essay of the obesity of children. And we can relate that to the paragraph. I could write a different hook. Does anybody want to try a different implication or take-home message? Can anybody write a different take-home message that might even be better than this one? Because this one's a little bit dangerous. It talks about poor diet. It talks about obesity. It's a little bit difficult to relate to the rest of the essay. So what other message could I write for my body 1, body 2 that might be a little bit closer to home, meaning a little bit closer to the information that I actually argued? Can anybody try to write an example last sentence there? Okay, I'll show you what I have in mind. So I might write something different. So again, this was our original question, right? So here we go. So we can also call this the take-home message. Okay, and again, remember that in the take-home message, you should not include new information or a new argument. So something like this might be a little bit better. The skills and health that students gain in PE classes can be used in their future success to be better team players in work and stay healthy with regular exercise. Okay? So something like this, because this is mentioned, right? So I talk about the importance of social skills and working in a team in the body paragraph, and I talk about staying healthy. So my take-home message might be better like this: the skills and health that students gain in PE classes can be used in their future success to be better team players in work and stay healthy with regular exercise. Okay? So that is closer to home, okay? Because the essay clearly talks about being a team player and staying healthy. All right? And I see a couple other ones coming up there, so I'll have a look. So Naveen says, however, conducting PE classes and continuing with academics absolutely depends on the management of the public schools, and pupils must follow their curriculum accordingly. Naveen, that would be off topic. That would be an off-topic take-home message because we didn't talk about who it depends on, okay? You're saying that it depends on the management of public schools. Not necessarily. It also depends on the parents. If the parents argued with the management, they could fight to have it removed or to make sure that it stays. So it's a little bit off topic, and we get into a different argument of who's responsible for ensuring PE classes. Our essay doesn't talk about who's responsible for ensuring PE classes. So I would say that that take-home message is off topic. Om Shah says, yes, this type of diet increases day-to-day problems and persons start going towards obesity. So there's a risk of getting overweight, which is not good for our body and increases cholesterol. Om Shah, there's a couple of problems with that. Again, our essay doesn't actually target obesity, so that's not the focus of our essay. It targets whether or not PE classes should be in the school curriculum. And then saying our is even more awkward because now you're bringing me into the picture, the reader, and I might already be done school, so it has nothing to do with it, and I might be a fit person. Rekha says, with physical activities, children can strengthen, and then I didn't catch the rest of that, but it kind of looked like you were going towards the right direction, Rekha. If you put it back in there, I'll read it again. Okay, Jeffrey says, for students to gain multiple benefits for their body and mind, PE class should stay as crucial part of the curriculum. I don't know about main curriculum. Main curriculum means that that is the focus of the curriculum, Jeffrey, and it's awkward because academics is the main focus of school curriculums, not necessarily PE class. Okay. Pat Newen, again, you're off topic. We're not talking about eating vegetables, meat, and chicken to reduce cholesterol. So it's very little connection there. All right. Mohammed, you're a little bit closer to the right track. So you say, to sum up, health and skills are indispensable for students' longevity in their success as adults. I would add that, Mohammed, to the end, in their success as adults, and then it makes more sense. Okay, good. Let's pop back into the course here. So you get the idea. It takes practice. I make it look simple, but it does take practice. So make sure your take-home message connects to the information that you wrote about in your essay. It should not introduce a new idea or argument, okay? It should not. All right, so here is something very important for coherence in writing, all right? This is the second graph for this task 2, and a very important one, all right? Keep this in mind. This is what you consider to be good writing, or what we consider to be good writing. You have your introductory paragraph here. And notice these arrows here, the blue ones, okay? So the information needs to connect downwards, all right? In this essay that we just looked at, physical education, we introduce the idea of it, we give the background, the importance of the question, and then we have a thesis that outlines directly points 1 and then point 2, okay? And then once we're done point 2, we wrap up this information and we give a good take-home message. So the flow of information is very clearly connected in this downward pattern. Okay? Now, the green arrows here, so what are these doing, right? So you have a green arrow that goes like this, and then you have a green arrow that goes like this, and another one that goes like this. Basically, what that is saying is that the topic and controlling idea and the thesis of the question. So in this case, we're talking about physical education, and should it be a part of the regular school curriculum or regular school program or not? Okay, so that's the topic and the controlling idea. Our argument, or my argument in my essay, is that yes, it should be, and I will discuss both sides. So the introductory paragraph, if you have a good essay, is clearly reflected or is clearly shown throughout the essay. So if I read just body paragraph 1 and then I read the introduction, I can say, aha, yeah, I can see that connection. If I read body paragraph 2 and then I read the introduction, I can say, aha, yeah, I can see that connection between these. And then the same thing with the conclusion. If I read the introduction and I read the conclusion, I should see a very clear connection between this paragraph and this paragraph. Now, this is a very good exercise to do at home, okay? So I challenge you to do this. Write a task 2 essay from start to finish, okay? And then after you've finished writing your task 2 essay, so you have introduction, body 1, body 2, maybe body 3, and a conclusion, then take your introductory paragraph and take your conclusion and look at them. Even ask your friend, so ask somebody else, hey, Jim or Sarah, can you read the introduction and can you read the conclusion? Do these 2 paragraphs look like they're connected? Do they make sense? Okay, so ideally, in a perfect world, if you read your introduction, don't read any body paragraphs, and then you read your conclusion, there should still be a very clear reflection that this content is the same content. It's coming out of the same essay. Okay? If it's not, if your friend reads the conclusion and says, what are these 2 different essays, or is this 2 different introductions, or what the heck is going on here? I don't see any real connection between these two, or there's at least a couple of really confusing points here when I look at the introduction, then you should stop and think and say, oh, wait a second, I'm not doing something correctly here because my reader cannot see that this is coming out of one essay. All right? So your essay needs to connect this way, but your essay introduction also connects to these elements here. We're not done yet, girls and guys, so hang in there, but you're very welcome, Rohan, okay? And then the same thing here in point C, moving backwards. So if you have truly good writing and if you have a truly good essay, and for university, certainly you will need to reach this level of writing, your conclusion should connect the same backwards as your introduction connects this way. So if I read your conclusion, I should be able to see the connection to body paragraph 2, body paragraph 1, and the introduction. Okay? If I can't see the connection from the conclusion to your previous paragraphs, and I'm talking about the information here, then that means that there's a lack of coherence in your essay. All right? It's not as clearly connected as it should be. Does that make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, does that make sense? So, and you're right, Naveen, it's a good strategy for high band scores, and I'm talking about band scores 7, 8, 9, but it's not just a strategy for higher band scores, it's simply a strategy for what's called good writing, good communication in literature, okay? So I hope that makes sense for you. You have to practice this, okay? You must practice this at home, and the magic or the greatness behind this is to be able to do it in such a way that you don't have a lot of redundancy. So you don't have a lot of repetition or redundancy of words and information, okay? Having good coherence and good connections is not saying that you should be repeating information, okay? That's the big trick, is being able to do this without having a lot of repetition, because having a lot of repetition is not good, okay? So, again, the information connects downwards. The topic, controlling ideas, and the thesis are reflected in each paragraph of the essay, and the conclusion reflects the points discussed in each paragraph. Keep that in mind, okay? Millions production, that's just for one type of question, right, where it's asking you to discuss both views. For other types of questions where it's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both, or in your opinion, which one is better and why, you might have a little bit of a different content structure for your body paragraph 1 and 2, but you still have the same information flow as what I just showed here. If that's not clear, write me an email and I'll explain it in more detail. Okay? Now, for those of you who are good writers and for those of you who are shooting for those high IELTS band scores, especially 8 or 9, you have to save maybe not 4 or 5 minutes, but at least 2-3 minutes to breeze over, skim over your essay. And in those 2 minutes, you need to read your essay first and foremost for any major mistakes, okay? Major mistakes are spelling mistakes that change the meanings of words, okay? So I'm not talking about small spelling mistakes where I can still figure out what you're saying, but be careful of spelling mistakes that change the meaning of words, okay? Major mistakes are mistakes that impede coherence. That means that major mistakes are the mistakes that stop the reader from being able to understand what you're actually expressing. Okay? If I don't understand what you're writing, that's a big mistake, and your IELTS band score is crash landing into the ground with a explosion. Okay? You don't want to do that. So if you have a couple minutes, definitely skim read your essay. If you have some really weird sentence in there that even you don't understand what you're writing, you don't have enough time to fix it, it's better maybe just to cross it out. Okay? Having a bad, confusing sentence is not going to get you points. It's going to decrease your points, so just get rid of it. All right? If you have time to fix it, great. If not, get rid of it. Same thing with grammar mistakes. So if you have grammar mistakes, especially verb agreements and articles on the that change the meanings of your sentences, we can't understand them, pay close attention. And these might not be so important, but definitely verb agreement or awkward grammar that changes the meaning. Okay? In the 2-3 minutes, look at your introduction. Your introduction is the most important paragraph. If your introduction is not clear, it looks terrible and your mark goes down. So if you don't have enough time to review your whole essay before you finish your sit-down part of the IELTS exam, then at least try to review your introductory paragraph, so your first paragraph, okay? Your first paragraph is the most important. It needs to be clear. Your thesis needs to be clear, all right? So focus on that one, all right? If you find any words that are repeating, try to paraphrase them. Use synonyms, okay? So reviewing your essay can be very, very useful. If you're not very fast at writing, it still might be better to write a little bit shorter essay and save a couple of minutes to review and make sure you fix any major mistakes than writing 250 words, no time for review, and it's a confusing essay, okay? As an IELTS examiner, I would rather read an essay that's a little bit shorter, but it's clear and the major mistakes are fixed, than read a longer essay that's full of mistakes and it's very confusing, okay? That's worse, all right? So, that is the end of that slideshow for today. Tomorrow, we'll look at a couple of other examples for this, and then we'll finish up task 2 with that. Sorry, let me bring you back here on board. Here we go. It should come popping back up here in a second. There we go. All right. So that is the end of today's class. A lot of very, very important information there for you. And a lot of good practice there for you to focus on, okay, to check your work. Again, remember that neat little exercise that I told you about where after you write your task 2 essay, you can pull it apart into separate paragraphs. You can even make this if you have like an IELTS group study or an IELTS team that you're studying with. Write your essays by computer so nobody can tell the handwriting. Print them out on a piece of paper. Everybody use the same font and the same letter size. And then all of you try to answer the same question. Print it out, print out the piece of paper, cut these up into just individual paragraphs, and mix them all up, and then in the group, ask somebody to put together the original essays. You'd want to do that in groups of 3, maximum 4, otherwise it can get very, very difficult, okay? All right. So, that was a lot of information there at the end, I know, but you can try that out. It's a really cool exercise. That will definitely tell you if you have good information and coherence in your essay. All right, girls and guys, again, if you want these awesome materials, advice, and so on, join us, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. There's tons and tons of great advice and strategies there for you. These are not magical tricks and tips that we're pulling from the sky or from what people are saying here and there. We're using psychology of education. We're using professional pedagogy methodologies and proven skills that are required in university and that IELTS needs you to show. So you can find those on our websites. Check it out there. All right. New Win Paul, it's absolutely okay if you don't know everything that I'm saying. This is a recorded video. You can check it out again on our channel. Jeffrey, thanks so much for that super chat contribution. Always appreciate the support from our students and our members. Jeffrey, you've been great support over the months, so thank you for that. Thanks everyone for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day. Make sure to practice these skills at home, and I wish all of you the best of luck on your IELTS exam and in your studies. If you have any questions, Don't be shy. You can send me an email. I'll definitely do my best to respond in due time. Adrian@aehelp.com. Much love to all of you. Have a wonderful rest of your day and sweet dreams if you're going to bed and it's late in your country. Bye for now.